Well, some business owners here in the province of Gauteng are concerned about the delays in the announcement of the provincial executive. The ANC and the DA in the province have been at loggerheads over the appointment of members to key positions. George Sebulele, president of the African United Business Confederation, joins me now to share their concerns. George, good morning. Thank you for your time on the program. We appreciate it. It's a big contribution that as a province we make to the country's GDP, 33% here in Gauteng. And if you think about its closest contenders, you've got the Western Cape with 16, KwaZulu-Natal with 14. So to be able to get the province working, to get the budgets approved and passed, very, very important. Share with our viewers, from your perspective, the concerns around the delay in the announcement of a provincial executive.
Yeah, Iman, thank you so much. It's so great to talk to you again. I must say, this delay has a direct impact, as you really summarize it very well. This is a very important province of South Africa. This is a gateway of investment. When the investors try to zoom into South Africa, they would normally go via Gauteng as a province before they go to many other provinces. So you can then imagine this as the economic hub to understand the impact and the negative impact it has in terms of economic growth for South Africa. So generally, what you would see when this administration delays in terms of bringing the executives would be issues that people are not serious about development. They're not serious about the constituency. They're not serious about dealing with job creation and so on. So it is very, very critical. I do recall the Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, recently in a function talking about more critical issues that need to be dealt with. For example, the issue of crime in Gauteng, saying we need to start working hard in making sure that we fight this crime that exists in the province of Gauteng. He talked about the infrastructure development, to accelerate the infrastructure development. You can imagine at this present moment that the executive heads are unable to act and make decisions because there's no political direction in various different government departments.
And you laid out really a variety of things there, issues that when you converge them create a huge headache. And I would like for us to take the story even more personal. I mean, we've spoken sort of at the higher level and how this all plays out in the economy and delaying, projects from going ahead. Talk to me about some of the businesses that you represent and what this sort of, vacuum means for them and how they function every day. I just want to quickly share a statistic with our viewers. Overall, I think between the last budget announcement by the then MEC for Finance, Jacob Mamabolo, there was a budget, I think, for around 165 or so a billion rand for the province as a whole, 24-25. And if you stretch that over the 3-year period, I think overall we're looking at in excess of 514 billion rand that needs to be allocated, decisions made on where they go. And part of the allocations involve what you're talking about, infrastructure development, crime prevention, and injections for economic development. Now devolve that to some of the people that you represent and how this actually affects them day to day.
Well, the first that I can immediately mention in terms of the challenges that we're facing within our members, they're facing within our members, is a non-payment and adherence to the requirement of 30-day payment, which is really quite worrying, because this is where you start to see businesses becoming crippled, that are unable to pay their own dues and their own liabilities in order to honor their commitments or contractual obligations. And that's really a very important issue that we have raised a number of times, that government has to really honor this 30-day payment for the suppliers. And that is a major, major, major concern. The second is because there is a bit of hold on. Surely a number of projects are already on hold. There's no clear direction and in terms of executing those projects. Obviously, the third and the most is most of the businesses are worried that what if there's going to be change in those departments? Because you can imagine if the new MEC come in, might want his own team, his new head of the department, his new chief financial officer, and that on its own can take another 6 months before the businesses can begin to get into business. So those are some of the key important issues that really we would like to see this government stable and beginning to execute and deal with challenges that we all face, in particular business organizations.
George, we've talked, across the country, it's not even just a Gauteng problem, about the issue of delays in payment or non-payment and the non-adherence to, at least at minimum, a 30-day payment for invoices that have been served. Just share with us a little bit more about the scope of that problem right now.
Well, the scope, I remember when we engaged with National Treasury before, we said, if there's going to be a non-compliant of 30-day payment, there must be a punishment that must be given to a department or the head concerning that particular department. So we now see you would have a 90-day delay in terms of payment for the goods and services already provided. So the scope, if you go in the size of the scope, it goes to billions of rents that are still there's still non-payment and adherence to this 30-day payment, which in fact we were even saying, if it's going to be SMMEs, it must be even reduced to 15-day payment because of the liquidity or the capital that the small, medium, micro enterprises are carrying, in particular in order to run their normal day-to-day working capital utilization.
Is it dramatic to say, George, that many businesses, especially the smaller ones and perhaps even the medium enterprises, are just one invoice away from bankruptcy sometimes?
You can imagine somebody has to buy a stock, and that stock has to be paid. In some clients, because the SMME is unable to honor, they are unable to get a credit from the supplier. You can imagine if they have borrowed money which is supposed to be paid within 30 days and you have not received your money in 30 days, it's a chaos. You get penalized. By the time you have to honor your payment where you borrowed the money either from the bank or from the other different funding institutions or Mashonis alone, you can imagine by the time you repay the loan, because of the delay of payment, you don't make any profit. So I think it's the entire value chain. So the last chain, which is government payment to the service provider, is the only chain that is correct. And we say that if we fix that chain, then we encourage even enough funding to be available for those SMMEs in order for them to fund their own operations.
And I think, just to give you the opportunity, since you're on the platform, I mean, we're expecting the announcement of that 10-member provincial cabinet imminently, hopefully today, from Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. If we're in front of him right now, how would you make that plea for this announcement to be made sooner rather than later? I know others are saying, let's wait until we have a fully realized GPU, Government of Provincial Unity. Let's rather make the time investment so that we're solid going forward. But as you're pointing out, we don't have the luxury of time. These delays are costing business, especially here in the province. Talk to them directly, George.
My special plea to the Premier, which I don't doubt is committed to see the government already appointed, I would then say, let's come to the terms that this has a direct impact to business communities in general. And I would therefore even make a special plea that in those appointments, let's balance and make sure that we have capable leaders that can be able to advance this economy of South Africa, in particularly in Gauteng as the province of gold. We would really make a special plea that matter must be finalized, if possible. Give it a 24-hour turnaround time.
George Sebulele, thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Thanks for sharing the impact and how important this moment is, especially for business in the province. He is the president of the African United Business Confederation, awaiting the announcement of the 10-member provincial cabinet by the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi.